Vampires and werewolves used to be scary, lead characters in Halloween tales, not heartthrobs and love stories that make teenage girls everywhere pine for interspecies romance. But Twilight creator Stephenie Meyer has changed all that, capturing hearts and minds around the world. Meyer's stories are already worth billions, and as ABC's Juju Chang discovers, she's got plenty more surprises in store.
I love you.
It's a lover's triangle.
Don't make me choose.
That's as brilliantly preposterous as it is profitable.
I still don't know if I can control myself.
I know you can.
Stephenie Meyer's fantasies have sold more than 100 million books, and the Twilight movies have grossed more than $3 billion worldwide.
I don't have the strength to stay away from you anymore.
Then don't.
At its core, a teenage girl in love with a vampire, and the werewolf who's also in love with her.
You like love triangles.
I like it when there's a real problem to be solved. This isn't just something that can be got over easily and then try and work out how you would deal with that. And then it turned into a lot more than that, you know, with the story, but I liked the idea of that internal conflict.
This time around, Meyer has created yet another high-stakes interspecies lovers romance.
We have been invaded by another species who erase our minds to take our bodies.
Max Irons and Jake Abel play two red-blooded human men who are in love with one teenage girl and the spirit who's taken over her body, the host.
For all intents and purposes, she's dead. But then she comes back, so anything I knew and loved about her is gone. At which point, this guy...
Elbows in on your girl.
Elbows
in. When you know, she's brought to the cave, and the first thing he does is hit her to the ground.
Jared! Jared's alive! Jared!
A man stands up for a woman, alien or not.
Right. It's a confusing, emotional moment.
I understand, and I'm not faulting you for
okay.
But see, here's the kicker, is my character, Ian, starts to fall in love with this sort of other species.
I like you, Wanda.
I like you too, Ian.
This is yet another interspecies romance.
It is. I tried to write a story once with just human beings and I got really bored. I love to read them. I love regular fiction. But when I'm writing, I for now anyway, the science fiction and the fantasy always holds on to my attention better.
Stop! You are not going there. What about Jared?
He kissed her, I kiss her, I kiss her, then he kisses her.
Share and share alike.
It's a cave community.
It sounds a lot more racy than it actually is.
It really does.
I just want to try one thing.
Meyer's stories bridge the gap between teen and adult fiction, reminding all of us what it was like to fight the urges brought on by raging teenage hormones.
There's a great deal of sexual tension in your stories, and most of it is unconsummated. Most of it is pretty tame.
I do think there's something kind of magical about taking your time with physical attraction. And if you make it so that every time someone brushes someone's hand, remember when you were 14 and that was a big deal?
Yeah.
You know, we skip over that a lot.
How are you able to channel the 16-year-old girl in all of us?
I don't know that you ever lose the 16-year-old girl. It's different now than it was then, but apparently it's not so different that I'm not still a little bit in touch with that girl.
Meyer, a devout Mormon, is an unlikely publishing phenom. The first Twilight installment was her very first attempt at writing, after she had a dream about a beautiful man glittering in a meadow.
I love the story of how Twilight came into your brain.
Vivid dreams. That was an especially vivid one, and it certainly has worked out in odd ways.
Hi, how are you?
We caught up with Meyer in Chicago at the bookstore where her very first signing took place.
I want to show you I have exhibits on my back.
Oh my gosh, that looks like it must have hurt.
Despite her celebrity status, she says her most important role is being mom to her 3 sons. She says they don't see her as a superstar.
Mom's mostly at home just being a nerd, you know. You're not cool to your kids. You remember when they were little and one of my middle one was trying to ask his friend, which book does your mom write? You know, because for kids, because mom is the epitome of normal. That's just what mom does. And so they don't realize that it's different for other people.
Right. Have they read your books? Do they see the movies?
No. They've seen the first one. I wouldn't let them see the other ones. I'm careful about what they watch.
Because it's too violent or too
it's too
sensual?
I think it's too sensual.
Sensuality and taming one's burning desire is a cornerstone of Meyer's writing. The Host explores the notion that finding your soulmate goes beyond the physical body.
Did you ever struggle with body image? Was that an
all the
issue for you?
time, my whole life. I still do. I mean, I'm a woman, and I don't look like Heidi Klum. And it's hard sometimes to forget that and realize that that's not the important thing. You get bombarded by it so much.
It's stunning to me that you, Stephenie Meyer, megastar, is insecure.
Isn't everyone? I feel like, you know, the more famous or whatever someone is, seems like the more difficult it is to feel like you fit into that that role. I don't know. I've always been like that.
There's been pressure for Meyer to expand the Twilight series, perhaps a prequel. But she says she's done with vampires for the time being. Right now, she's working on a sequel to The Host.
Clearly, you're letting your gut or your dreams lead you. But after The Host, what comes next?
I have so many stories, real fantasy, like fantasy with a map in the front piece fantasy. And then there's assassin stories, and there's ghost stories. And, you know, there's so many things I'd love to be able to do.
And legions of fans breathlessly await. For Nightline, I'm Juju Chang in Chicago.